Now that is fun. Hi, this is Mike Green, and this is RealiDrums, a new, and in my opinion, better way for sample drum libraries to work. What you just saw was the groove generator in action, and we'll come back to that. But first, I want to show you what makes RealiDrums different. In fact, this entire instrument is designed specifically for how I like to work, which is fast. With all due respect to other drum libraries, I don't want to have to spend a bunch of time adjusting mic bleed and other parameters just to get one drum sounding how I want. I know there are people who do like to work that way, and that's fine. But RealiDrums is designed so you have a huge selection of great sounding drums that you can audition really quickly and get right to making music as opposed to pretending you're a mix engineer. Let's start by how you choose drums. I'll play some snares. First, I click the snare drum. Right now we've got snare 11. And you'll notice here where it says mic mix, we have rock selected. I could also select close mic. Or room. Rock again. Or beast. That big 70s hard rock sound, which for legal reasons, we won't name the drummer for whom it was inspired. These mixes are all pre-recorded, mixed by me, and believe me, I'm fussy about my drum sounds. So anyway, let's get back to rock and check out some of these other snares. I can either use this menu, and I'll save you the trouble of trying to count these. There are 42 different snare drums, each with multiple velocity layers as well as round robins. And just to make sure we're clear about this, that's not 42 mixes or combinations. That's actually 42 different snare drums we recorded. I designed this so that for me, at least, it's the only drum library I ever need. And keep in mind, for each of the 42 snares, there are 4 mic mixes. So that's a total of 172 different snare sounds. Let me put it this way. If you can't find the sound you want, write me an email within 30 days of purchase, and I'll send you your money back. We're that confident with the sounds we've got here. So anyway, the menu is one way to access sounds, but I've always found menus to be too slow for going from one sound to the next. So we included a knob here, sort of like on the old Alesis DM Pro drum module, for those of you who remember that. Now, the knob is cool, but for me, I prefer to use these arrow keys because I can just click next, 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 next. Ah, that's the one right there. It works the same way for all the drums. We could try toms. Then here's toms 2 and toms 3. There are 11 sets of toms altogether. A couple of them are brushes. I really like this one because it reminds me of the soundtrack to Birdman. I'm not as good of a keyboard player as he is a drummer, but it's still fun to do. So anyway, back to the instrument. Same idea for the kicks. We have 7 kicks. We have 24 ride cymbals. We have, I think, around 25 crashes, including some splashes and some China crash cymbals. And then there's a bunch of percussion too. There's no way that I can really show you everything. Your best bet, if you're just not sure, is buy it. And as I said, you get a money-back guarantee. At Realitone, we don't want any unhappy customers. Now, this is the main page that we've been on so far, but there's another page, which is actually my favorite page for doing all this stuff, and that's the rack page. These are each individual racks for each of the drums. You've got the kicks. You got the snares. There's VU meters so you can tell whether or not you're playing the correct thing that you think you are. There's hi-hat, of course the toms, and then rides. Well, that's not a ride, that's a crash, which is why the VU meters come in handy. Anyway, for each of these, some of the drums, like snares for instance, there are actually 3 different things that the snares can do. This is the main snare that we have now, but there's also a side stick snare. And you can select which side stick by doing this. Or of course, once you selected this here, then now this is representing side stick. It also tells you which key plays the side stick, which is the C sharp. Then you can do the alternate snare, which is on the D sharp, and select whatever you want for that. As well as mic mixes or whatever you want. Now I'm selecting them by clicking these buttons on the right-hand side, but you also can do it just by clicking right here on this keyboard or clicking on the title, and it will cycle through the different names. And if we go back to the main page, if I click on snare over and over again, you'll see that it cycles between the different drums that you have. It works the same way for the rides, because there's a ride that's on D sharp, and there's another ride that's on F, and then there's another ride that's on B. So you have 3 different ride symbols, and the same way, those can be selected here, cycling through the different ones. And then the crash, same thing. You've got all the different crash symbols on that button, and then the percussion is on these 3 keys here. But anyway, what I like about this is I can see everything all at once, which I always like because it's just a faster way to work. Moving on, because we do have a lot to cover here, we also have the mixer page. This is pretty self-explanatory. You've got a volume thing here. You also have you got the start and stop for the groove generator, the pattern player, whatever you want to call it. Notice on the EQs, we have low, mid, and high. We actually specified the frequencies and the bandwidths for you. We went through this drum by drum so that when you turn one of these knobs, it actually is tuning the frequency that you want, and you're not just twiddling a knob and doing some useless frequency. This saves you a lot of time. It also makes it so that you're actually adjusting things that make sense. We also have compressors. We have a transient designer and a regular compressor. And then we have a couple of effects. We have a crunch and then a mangle. Mangle is more of a digital distortion. Crunch is more of a fuzzbox kind of thing. We made a couple of preset kits that use those different things to show you how they work. I'll get to those in a little bit. Now, one other thing that I want to show you is there are times when you want to maybe move the volumes of all the snares at once. Probably not the snares as much as you would maybe with all the cymbals. If I want to move all the rides at the same time, then I can if I want to move all the rides at the same time, then I can lock them with that button there. It just makes it easier, because otherwise you might, say, oh, that ride symbol's too loud or too quiet, and then you move it, and then it's the other symbols didn't move. So you've got these all buttons here for that. Now, as you've seen, selecting the various drums is really fast and easy. But we still went ahead and made some presets just because A, it's fun, and B, because it shows some possibilities that you might not think of. Let's go through some of these. Here's the most basic. It's just a clean kit. Then we'll do a rock kit. There are a couple that I listed here. Actually, there are more than that. This reminds me of something. For kick, I often like to go down one level. Instead of rock, I go to room. It's a little bit tighter. In fact, sometimes I'll go all the way to the close mic for the kick, just for more focus. Then with the reverb and the full mix, sometimes that works out really well. I don't know. I'm just telling you that. Here's another rock kit. And a jazz kit, jazz brushes. There's a metal kit here. In fact, one of our groove generator grooves, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. This one is speed metal. Nothing like some 16th note kick drums to get you going. Now, here are the couple of the things I was talking about here. This is a 70s kind of thing. And we have a couple distortion kits. Those are fun. We got a lo-fi kit, some digital distortion to that. Here's a slow-mo kit. This is kind of tuned down a bit. I didn't mention the tuning knobs, but don't be afraid to tune things down or up. If you tune stuff up, it gives it a little bit tighter sound. Tune it down, you get this kind of thing. Nice and lazy. So now let's move on to the groove generator. Now, personally, I never use the MIDI grooves that come with drum libraries. The reason is that there might be hundreds or often thousands of grooves, and it's really hard to find the one that's going to work for your song because you have to load them one at a time, then listen to it. If that one's not right, then you load the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and it takes forever. I just don't have the patience for it, because even then, it still might not be exactly what I'm looking for. But the main thing that bugs me about that is it's not a musical way to work. It's basically just dragging loops into GarageBand. No offense. But what I wanted to do with this library was make it more like what a real drum session would be like. You ask a drummer to play a beat, in this case, a pop funk kind of groove. Now maybe that beat is perfect. Or maybe you want to tell the drummer to play something even busier or more complex, or maybe something simpler. Or maybe you want a simpler kick and snare, but you want the hi-hat being busy. Or maybe you want ride instead of hi-hat, or a tom's rhythm instead of a hi-hat or ride. These are all things that you can control. So you can morph a starting beat into all sorts of things that don't even resemble what you started with. It's much more flexible, and more importantly, it's more musical. I feel like I'm making music when I do this instead of just assembling a song by copying beats into it. Check it out. I'm going to do the various things that I just described. Pretty cool, right? One thing I almost forgot. You can drag and drop MIDI files of whatever you have here onto your sequencer. And these MIDI files always update to however you have this set. So if you have only kick drum doing a complex pattern, then this MIDI file will be only kick drum playing the same complex pattern. So I hope this gives you an idea of what RealiDrums is all about. For me, it's all about getting the drum sounds I want quickly and doing it in a musical way. For more info, visit our website at realitone.com and be sure to visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/ what was it that comes after that slash? Oh yeah, Realitone. Thanks for watching.